Welcome to a new Word Power episode from English Plus Podcast. Today we're going to talk about sugar-coated truths, what you didn't know about diabetes. Ever wondered why your body is so obsessed with sugar, even when you swear you're not? Or why your pancreas, this tiny organ minding its own business, suddenly decides to throw a tantrum? Well, today we're tackling one of those topics that's both a little sweet and a little sour. Diabetes. What is it really? Why is it such a big deal? And how can we avoid it or live with it without giving up everything delicious in life? Grab your healthy snack of choice, because today we're diving into the world of diabetes, where sugar isn't just sweet, it's potential game changer for your health. Now, today we're not just talking about diabetes, we're learning some useful vocabulary, words and phrases in context, because remember, this is word power. Now, these words will help us understand the topic better, and of course you can use them in your everyday life as well. From blood sugar and autoimmune to everyday terms like cut down on and lifestyle, these words will help you describe health, habits, and even your body's mysteries in ways that feel relatable. So let's dive right into it. Now, let's get back to our topic at hand. What exactly is diabetes? If you've ever thought it's just about cutting out a few donuts here and there, well, buckle up, because it's a lot more than that. Diabetes is a condition where your body's blood sugar or glucose is too high. Now, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound too bad. I like being sweet. Yeah, but here's the kicker. Too much sugar in your blood can damage a bunch of things. Your heart, your kidneys, your eyes, and even your nerves. It's like pouring syrup into a machine. It's not going to end well, right? Diabetes is split into a few types, just to keep things interesting. We've got type 1, type 2, and something charming known as gestational diabetes. Now let's break it down. Type 1 is like the rock star of diabetes. It usually shows up early in life, and it's not something you can avoid. It's an autoimmune condition, meaning your own body's immune system decides, hey, those insulin-producing cells in the pancreas, yeah, we don't need those. And it destroys them. Poof, gone. And without insulin, blood sugar levels soar because there's nothing to help sugar get into cells where it's actually used for energy. Then we have type 2, the far more common but less dramatic version. Now, type 2 is more of a gradual takeover, sort of like a slow-moving villain. It's often linked to lifestyle factors such as diet and exercise or lack thereof. Now here, your body either doesn't make enough insulin or it becomes insulin resistant, meaning it's got insulin but just doesn't use it well. Imagine insulin knocking on the door, trying to get sugar into cells, but the cells are pretending they're not home. It's rude, really. And just to add a little spice, there's gestational diabetes. Well, this one's specifically for the ladies, popping up only during pregnancy. The hormones produced in pregnancy can sometimes block insulin from doing its job, leading to higher blood sugar levels. Now, the good news? Gestational diabetes often goes away after childbirth. The bad news? It can increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes down the line. Thanks, hormones. Now, we might all be a little too familiar with those cut down on sugar slogans. But why is this important? Well, because of the complications diabetes can bring. Imagine if every time you indulged in something sugary, your body silently added it to the list of things it's going to make you pay for later. That's diabetes. It affects your blood vessels and ultimately your heart, kidneys, eyes, nerves, the list goes on. It's like signing up for a lifetime subscription you didn't actually want. But here's the thing. While we may not be able to cure diabetes, we can certainly manage it, especially type 2. And let's be real, most people's lifestyle choices are kind of asking for it. Are we eating better, exercising, or choosing water over soda? Not always. But the good news is we can change that. Think of it this way. With every vegetable you eat, every walk you take, and every sugary drink you pass up, you're one step further from those diabetes complications. And if you think vegetables are boring, maybe you just haven't found the right ones yet. Broccoli can be a blast. Just maybe not as much as a cupcake, I know, but it has its moments. So, what should you take away from all of this? Now, whether you're at risk of type 2, managing type 1, or simply supporting someone who has diabetes, knowledge is power. Don't think of diabetes as just sugar problems. Think of it as an invitation to learn more about your body. And remember, whether you're young or old, healthy habits matter. Because no matter how much your body likes to play games, it will catch up with you eventually. But by making good choices, you can turn the game in your favor. Now, as you chew on that thought, hopefully with a healthy snack in hand, here's a question for you. What changes would you make today if you knew they'd save you a lifetime of health challenges? Because if there's one thing diabetes teaches us, it's that small choices can have big consequences. Well, that was about diabetes, my friends. I hope you learned something that you didn't know about diabetes before, or at least reinforced your knowledge about the topic. But now, because it's a word power episode, it's time for us to learn some vocabulary in context. Now, let's dive into some of the key words and phrases we use today about diabetes. You'll find these aren't just medical terms. They're actually pretty handy in everyday life too. First up, we talked about blood sugar or glucose. Now, blood sugar isn't just a medical term doctors throw around. It's the level of sugar in your bloodstream that gives you energy. Think of glucose as fuel for your body. So if you're feeling low energy or out of fuel, you could even say, I think my blood sugar's a bit low, especially if you're needing that afternoon snack. Another important one is autoimmune. We use this term when describing type 1 diabetes, where the body attacks itself by mistake. Auto means self, and immune refers to the immune system. Together, autoimmune is when your body's defense system turns on itself instead of protecting you. You might hear autoimmune pop up in other conditions too, like arthritis. If you ever hear it, remember it's talking about the body accidentally attacking itself. Then we've got insulin. Well, this is a hormone that helps sugar move from the body into cells. Like a key that unlocks doors, so sugar can fuel your body. It's used a lot in diabetes talk, but you might also hear it in relation to how your bodies respond to food or exercise. So you could say insulin is like my energy key, or maybe too much sugar can make my body ignore insulin. Next, we have resistant. When we said insulin resistant, we meant the body doesn't respond to insulin properly, which is like a door that just won't open even though you have the right key. Now, in life, you might use resistant for all kinds of things, like being resistant to change. For example, I'm resistant to pineapple on pizza just means you're not going to accept that flavor combo anytime soon. And let's also talk about hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers in your body that affect everything from energy levels to mood. In the diabetes context, hormones play a big part in regulating sugar. But we all know hormones can mess with us in a bunch of other ways. Ever had a random mood swing or a sudden craving? Thank hormones for that. Another term we threw out was complications. Now, we mentioned diabetes complications, which means other health issues that can come along if diabetes isn't managed well. Now, outside of health talk, we use complications all the time. Like, for example, we say, there were some complications with the plan, or our vacation plans got complicated. It just means something went sideways and made things tougher. Well, there's also the phrase cut down on, which came up a lot. When we say cut down on sugar, we mean reducing how much we're eating. Well, this phrase can be super useful. You can cut down on anything, from caffeine to screen time. You can say, for example, I'm trying to cut down on my phone use. We all need that one, by the way, right? Well, that was about cut down on. Then we have at risk. Now, when we say someone is at risk of developing type 2 diabetes, it means they're more likely to get it if they don't make certain lifestyle changes. In other contexts, we might say someone's at risk if they're facing a kind of danger, any kind of danger, like, for example, at risk of losing the game or at risk of missing the bus. It doesn't have to be dramatic as diabetes or even something more dangerous. We also talked about manage. Now, we said that diabetes can be managed, meaning it can be kept under control with the right actions. Managing is something we do every day, like managing work stress or managing time. If someone says, I'm managing, they're basically saying they're holding it together, even if it's not easy. Now, sometimes, we can say, I can manage, I can handle it, even if it's not that easy. Well, that was about manage. Finally, we've got lifestyle. Well, in this episode, we used lifestyle to talk about habits like diet and exercise that impact our health. But you can also talk about lifestyle when describing how you live, like a healthy lifestyle, a busy lifestyle, or even a chill lifestyle. It just describes the way you go about your day-to-day. So, that was about the words I wanted to share with you. Words in context, and that's the important thing. Don't ever try to learn words in a vacuum, because you will forget them as fast as you learn them. Try to learn words in context all the time. All right? But anyway, let's move on now for a couple of questions I have for you before we wrap up this episode. Now, how often do you think about your blood sugar, if at all? And what changes could you make in your lifestyle that might improve your energy or health? Because sometimes small changes can really make a big difference. Well, if you would like to start a conversation with me about these questions, you have the comment section below. Leave your comments on the contents of this episode or those last two questions. And with that being said, I hope that we learned something useful today. I hope you learned some interesting words, some interesting information, because after all, that's the whole idea behind English Plus. We learn some English, but we have some knowledge. We take our English and knowledge to the next level. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. And remember, never stop learning with English Plus Podcast.